Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's jump right in. There's this big idea floating around. Data is the new oil.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
And maybe it sounds a bit like hyperbole, but honestly, data really is fast becoming the fuel for, well, for economic growth. It
Yeah.
feels like it's deciding the next world order.
It's true. And what's really key here is that data isn't just some abstract thing for corporations. It's the foundation for all these new digital technologies we hear about, AI, blockchain,
Yeah.
and crucially, agriculture. I mean, the absolute backbone of society is getting super data-driven now. You've got everyone involved, governments, big agribusiness, NGOs, investors too,
Uh-huh.
all pouring resources into building up this agricultural data ecosystem.
Okay, so lots of investment, lots of activity, but our sources are highlighting a pretty big pain point here. It
Definitely.
seems like all these systems are, well, totally fragmented. They're built in separate silos.
Exactly. Silos, that's the word.
You've got data duplicated across who knows how many different agencies, private companies. It sounds like a nightmare to get a single, clear picture nationally. Like what's actually being produced, what are the risks?
And without that integration, decision makers are basically flying blind. It's a huge strategic weakness
Right.
because when a crisis hits, a sudden drought, a big pest outbreak, even global price shocks,
Yeah.
that fragmentation just grinds everything to a halt. The response is slow, costs go way up, and it really hurts a country's resilience, its competitiveness. That fragmentation headache you mentioned, that's the core problem we need to tackle.
Okay, so that's the problem. What's the proposed solution we're digging into today?
Well, there's this blueprint, an initiative from the Commonwealth Secretariat called the National Agricultural Data Infrastructure, NAgDI for short.
NAgDI. Got it.
Yeah.
And it's important you stress this. NAgDI isn't like a software platform you buy off the shelf.
No, exactly. It's not a piece of tech itself. It's more of an approach. It's a strategy for delivering the actual technical foundation needed.
Which is the Digital Public Infrastructure, or DPI.
That's it, specifically tailored for managing agricultural data.
So NAgDI is the how-to guide for building the agricultural DPI.
You could put it that way. The big vision for NAgDI is moving away from all those frustrating, isolated data silos towards a coordinated national data superhighway.
Okay, data superhighway. Sounds good, sounds efficient, but practically, why can't existing government portals or whatever just do this? Is NAgDI just adding another layer of bureaucracy?
That's a fair question, and it's crucial. NAgDI isn't about replacing everything or building one single giant database. That'd be impossible.
Right.
It's the mechanism, the framework that helps harmonize all those messy existing systems. It defines a common language, common rules, an interoperable national infrastructure so data can be exchanged securely.
So it standardizes the connections between systems.
Exactly. We're trying to formalize data exchange, moving it from a very manual permission by permission thing to something more standardized and secure, like a highway with rules of the road, specifically so high-level players can get the macro view and make big decisions faster.
Makes sense. And to make sure this actually works, it's not just about the tech. You mentioned 4 components.
Yeah, absolutely. Because just writing code isn't enough, right? NAgDI stands on 4 pillars. First, obviously, the systems and technologies, the actual code, the platforms.
Okay.
Second, the principles and policies, the rule book, basically. Privacy, security, access rules.
Uh-huh.
Third, marketing and business models. How does this thing sustain itself? Who pays? How does it create value?
Right, the money part.
And finally, governance and administration. Who's in charge? How are decisions made? Who runs it day to day? It really has to be holistic.
Okay, and that holistic view brings strategic value, right? It's not just making government work better.
Not at all. A properly functioning NAgDI is a huge boost for the whole economy. Think about it. It creates a foundation for independent data verification. Meaning investors can actually trust the numbers they see about farms or agricultural SMEs. That confidence makes them way more likely to invest, especially in smaller businesses and startups.
Ah, okay. De-risking investment.
Precisely. And connect that to market access. We're seeing new regulations pop up, like the EU's deforestation regulation, the EUDR.
Heard about that one. Big deal for commodities.
Huge. If countries want to keep exporting things like coffee, cocoa, soy, palm oil to Europe, They have to provide credible, verifiable data proving it's deforestation-free.
So verifiable data becomes a ticket to trade.
It becomes a non-negotiable market access requirement. And beyond trade, having this kind of trusted data infrastructure strengthens a country's digital sovereignty. It prepares them to actually use powerful tools like AI, which, let's be honest, are useless without massive amounts of accurate, reliable data.
The stakes are definitely high then. Okay, let's zoom in a bit on the technical side. The plumbing underneath NAgDI. That's the Digital Public Infrastructure, the DPI. What actually makes something a DPI? We saw those G20 UNDP documents mentioning 3 core bits.
Yeah, those are kind of the universal building blocks. You see them across different sectors, not just agriculture. First, a unique digital identity for every user. It could be a farmer, a business, whoever.
Okay, ID.
Second, a standardized digital payment system for subsidies, transactions, whatever.
Payments.
And third, crucially, a consent-based data sharing mechanism. People need to control their data.
ID, payments, consent. Got it. But what really makes a DPI different from just, a regular farm app?
Scope and scale are huge differentiators.
Scalability.
Right.
Our sources talked about DPIs needing to function like a public utility.
That's a great analogy. Think of it like the public water system. It's not owned by one private company selling you their specific brand of tap.
Right. Anyone can connect.
Anyone can connect their own sink or washing machine as long as they follow the basic standards. That connection is usually through open APIs, application programming interfaces.
Okay.
And a true DPI needs to scale not just technically, but across a whole political geography, like an entire state or country. It needs to be designed so lots of other players, innovators can build on top of it.
I see the contrast now. Those conventional agri apps, they often have restrictive licenses, right? They show you what the company wants you to see, and they're certainly not designed for competitors to plug into.
Exactly. DPIs, ideally, are publicly accessible platforms. They provide foundational modules like that digital ID or maybe weather data, and then innovators can come along and build new services on top. Think new credit scoring tools, better insurance products, market linkage apps.
Okay, that makes sense. But it does raise that tricky question about the word public. Does public in DPI mean the government has to own and run absolutely everything?
That's a really common point of confusion. And based on our sources, the answer seems to be not necessarily.
Yeah, Olivier Quezera had a helpful way of framing this.
He did. He argued that public isn't so much about exclusive government ownership of every single server and line of code. It's more about the government acting as the orchestrator.
Orchestrator.
Yeah, setting the rules of the game, ensuring the whole ecosystem is fair, inclusive, interoperable, and operates according to public interest principles. The government is the trust anchor, establishes the foundational rules.
And then the private sector can innovate within those rules.
Exactly. It's more like a partnership governed by that public mandate.
Okay, this is still a bit abstract. Let's make it concrete. Country examples always help. Rwanda's e-voucher platform for farm inputs. That seems like a really neat, contained example of those 3 DPI bits: ID, payments, consent, working together.
It really is a great case study. It integrates the farmer digital identity, it handles the digital payments for government subsidies directly to farmers, and it uses consent-based data sharing to track who got what inputs, when, where. And the governance part is key. It is state-owned, run by the Ministry of Agriculture, and it's funded like a public good.
And they make it easy for others to connect.
That's the idea. Integration via API is often low cost or even free, precisely to encourage others to build on it. Maybe payment providers, maybe logistics companies. The government guarantees the core trust, and that lets an ecosystem grow around it.
Okay, Rwanda is a good specific example. Stepping back, India is obviously famous for its huge foundational DPIs like Aadhaar for identity, UPI for payments. Are they applying these ideas in agriculture too?
They definitely are, often at the state level, which shows how you can build on top of those national foundations. Himachal Pradesh has a couple of really interesting examples.
Oh, yeah.
First, there's something called Sitara NF, which is for agroecology. What's cool there is how the data flows. Farmers themselves are the ones triggering data updates based on what's actually happening on their farm. It makes the data really accurate and sort of farmer-owned.
Bottom-up data.
Exactly. And second, they have the Himshikar mobile app. It's basically a free, open knowledge base focused on natural farming methods, all the info, crop calendars, techniques. It's validated by the government.
So that's like a DPI function too, providing reliable, accessible knowledge. The Netherlands, though, seem to offer a different take, more focused just on the data itself.
Absolutely. A different but equally valid DPI concept. The Dutch Agridata Cube, built by Wageningen University, is fascinating. It acts as a DPI layer.
The layer.
Yeah, it sits on top of other foundational systems.
Hmm.
What it does is combine huge amounts of open government data, soil maps, weather records, satellite imagery, land use data,
Okay.
and it cleans it, standardizes it, and provides one single unified API for developers to access it all.
Why do that?
Because they found that developers building new agritech apps were all wasting time doing the exact same thing, finding, cleaning, and processing these core data sets over and over again.
Ah, so it eliminates redundant work.
Massively. By offering the standardized data cube via an API, they radically speed up innovation. Developers can just plug in and start building their actual application instead of spending months on data wrangling.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've seen specific apps, knowledge bases, data layers.
Yeah.
But maybe the most fundamental building block for all of this is just having a reliable list of farmers, the digital farmer registry.
You got it. That seems absolutely foundational. Projects like OpenSPP are working on this in places like LauPDR and Sri Lanka.
And why is that registry so critical? For the government, I guess.
For the government, it acts as the single source of truth. Suddenly you know who the farmers are, roughly where they are, maybe what they grow. It allows much better targeting for support programs, subsidies, extension services, anything, really.
But what about for the farmer? Why should they care about being in a registry?
That's where it gets really powerful. For many smallholders, especially in developing countries, they're kind of invisible to the formal economy. A verified digital identity linked to their actual farming activities and history stored in the registry essentially gives them an economic passport.
An economic passport. I like that. What does it unlock?
It's the key to financial inclusion. Suddenly they have a verifiable identity, maybe a track record of production or receiving subsidies. That builds a credit history. It can unlock loans, insurance, maybe access to premium markets that demand traceability back to the farm. It's potentially life-changing.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Are there real-world examples of these registries being used now?
Yes, definitely. The pilots you mentioned are good examples. In LauPDR, they're using it to manage information for agricultural production groups, helping them organize and access services better. And in Sri Lanka, it's a really large-scale deployment. They integrated the farmer registry with a registry of fertilizer distributors
Why?
to completely streamline their sustainable fertilizer subsidy program for about 1.5 million farmers. It ensures the subsidy goes directly to the intended farmer, reduces fraud and leakage.
Saves the government money.
Exactly, and ensures farmers actually get the inputs they need when they need them. It's a win-win enabled by that foundational registry.
Okay, this all sounds very promising, but let's pivot to what seems like a major hurdle: governance. You can't just pool all this personal and farm data without some serious rules.
Absolutely not. Strong national data governance frameworks and robust privacy laws are completely essential, and they have to put the farmers' interests right at the center.
Consent seems key here.
Absolutely critical. Ajay Kuligad, one of the contributors, really emphasized this. Any system dealing with private data and farm data is private. Land details, crop choices, yields, finances.
Yep.
It needs a rock-solid consent layer, a clear opt-in mechanism where the farmer explicitly controls how their data is used, especially if it's for any kind of commercial service or monetization.
Makes sense. But this led to a bit of a debate in the sources, didn't it? About what exactly needs governing.
Yes, it's a really important nuance. The debate is, should the governance rules apply primarily to the underlying data itself, focusing on protecting individual privacy rights, consent for specific data points?
Like data protection laws.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Or should the governance framework apply to the entire infrastructure, the NAgDI, that holds, processes, and moves the data?
Which is the broader NAgDI approach.
Right. The argument for governing the infrastructure is that it kind of follows models we use for other critical infrastructure, like transportation networks or telecommunications. You regulate the whole system.
But what's the reality internationally?
Well, the tough reality is there's no global agreement right now on how agricultural data should be exchanged across borders. We can point to things like the EU's GDPR as a gold standard for data protection,
Sorry.
but actually building the complex regulatory and enforcement layer needed to make something like that work seamlessly across different countries for agriculture. That's a massive challenge we haven't solved yet.
Okay, so quite a journey we've taken today. We started with this picture of fragmented, siloed data, the frustrating reality many of you listening probably face.
Yeah, starting point.
And we moved through this ambitious vision of a more resilient, connected agricultural system,
Hmm.
underpinned by these concepts of digital public infrastructure, or DPI, and this NAgDI approach as the strategy to get there.
It really boils down to building these foundational, reliable public digital
That
utilities.
then allow the private sector, researchers, everyone to innovate safely on top.
Exactly. The ultimate goal with NAGDI is enabling better macro-level decision-making for governments, for industries, and getting the whole food system ready for shocks, ready for new technologies like AI.
Right.
But we always have to remember agriculture is complex, it's incredibly localized. What works in one valley might not work in the next. That makes building agri-DPI quite different from, say, a payments DPI. You need tailored, harmonized data sets that respect that local context.
Absolutely. This has been a really illuminating deep dive. And thinking about those successful but quite different examples we discussed. Rwanda's e-vouchers, India's state-level apps, the Dutch agro-data
Oh,
queue.
lots of innovation happening.
It leads us to the final provocative thought for you to mull over. Given these promising but still separate national or regional efforts, how quickly can we realistically move towards truly interoperable NAgDIs, the kind that allows secure data exchange across borders?
That's the big question.
Because harmonizing these incredibly complex agricultural data sets globally, that seems like the next frontier. That's what could unlock much deeper intra-regional trade, more targeted international investment. That data superhighway really needs to cross oceans, doesn't it?